Hello, I'm Virginia Polito Gazzi and I am one of the VALVEcampus organizer. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to the first of many webinars organized by VALVEcampus Association with Intertech Company. The last 10 minutes of presentation will be the question and answer part. Please write your question in the chat box. It's now my pleasure to present the president of VALVEcampus Association, Maurizio Brancaleoni, and I hope you enjoy our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Virginia, and good morning, everybody. As Virginia said, I am the president of VALVEcampus, which is the association which gathers the entire valve industry supply chain, and it includes valve manufacturers, actuator manufacturers, gasket seals, components manufacturers, testing and certification bodies. We are very proud to start this way of introducing new subjects into our training courses, and I'm very happy today because with our friends Andrea Tonus and Damir Chapei from Intertech Italia, they will introduce a very stimulating subject, which is the remote video inspections, particularly for the valve industry. You will see that this topic is absolutely astonishing and enthusiastic for all of us. I believe that within the Industry 4.0, and when we talk about smart factory, we have, unfortunately, thanks to the situation that we all face worldwide under the coronavirus at the moment, the necessity to work on a remote basis. And I think that this was one of the points that were highlighted, and I'm sure that the seminar today, the webinar that we have today, will encourage everybody else to consider this particular topic and this particular tool as a new way of doing testing and inspections in our factories. I'm sure that this will be a tremendous advantage for the valve stakeholders at large, valve manufacturers, component manufacturers, but more important, end users and EPCs. Having said that, I don't want to take most of your time. I encourage you to contact us if you need any further information. Virginia will be able always to support you with the answers to your questions, but I'm more sure that after today and after the two presentations that we will have from our friends Andrea and Damir, we will learn a lot and we will have a chance to enter into this new world of remote video inspection and supporting the necessity of the market. So, having said that, I thank you again for your participation, very intense, and I think you're a very good number of people listening and participating. I'm sure that Virginia will tell you at the end how you will be able to open later on the webinar, which is recorded into, I think, YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But more important, please share your comments and put your questions. And if you're not able to do them today, put them in the questions on a chat. And I'm sure that both Andrea and Damir will be able to give you quickly very good answers. Thank you so much and have a good webinar. Now, Andrea, it's your turn.
Thank you, Maurizio. Thank you, Virginia. Welcome everybody to this webinar. I'm about to show my presentation right now, so I guess that we can start with the first slide. Here we are. Okay, hope everybody can see that. So as I said, first of all, I'd like to thank you, VALVEcampus, Mr. Maurizio Brancaleoni and Virginia Agazzi, for the opportunity that is given to provide this webinar. This is the first slide introducing VALVEcampus Association, which was introduced also by Mr. Brancaleoni. So thank you again for the opportunity. I will move to a quick introduction about Intertech. That is a global provider of quality with more than 46,000 employees. and more than 1,000 labs all around the globe. So we can basically cover worldwide all the quality needs required by any head stakeholder, as said, worldwide. Today's webinar will be held by Mr. Damir Chapay, Intertech Industry Technical Manager, and me, Andrea Tonus, Industry Department and Division Team Leader for Operations. So, starting with the content of the webinar, which is covering a few topics, as you see, here we have in front of us the webinar content. Let me say that the main idea behind this webinar is to understand what RVI is, how it affects quality and production, how it can be used, and now we can prepare to adopt standards and guidelines that will be issued in the next future. The first part of the webinar will focus on describing RVI solutions, so to focus at the end on case studies and scenarios, which will lead us to the question and answer section. Okay, starting with the content. Let me see because it's not moving on. I think there is a problem with the presentation. Okay, here we are. Apologize, this is the good things of live streaming. So, first of all, quality overview. As this webinar is dedicated to a wide range of experts and industry professionals, we will start considering the basic sources of items manufacturing process. According to ISO standards, quality is usually identified as the degree to which a set of inherent characteristics of an object fulfills requirements. So in simpler words, one can say that a product has a good quality when it complies with the requirements specified by the client. Usually, the references we use to manage quality are international standards, procedures, specification and requirements, inspection and test plans, or ETP. By merging all the above together, we aim to a manufacturing process that is fulfilling all requirements, and it is very important. So let's get deeper into RVI idea and concept. RVI. RVI stands, as easy to say, remote video inspection. So we have to use remote devices via live streaming to connect all stakeholders evaluating products' characteristics. This can be applied to various activities such as witnessing, supervision, monitoring of quality, health and safety, training, audit, and so on. Daily, we have thousands of in-person visits on site involving various parties, as you can see in the box in the slide: manufacturers, client representatives, inspectors, technical staffs, agencies, and so on. These activities on the fields are undertaken to conduct a thorough inspection process. Remote video inspection focuses on quality check carried out with tools and devices that allow an immediate connection to the ongoing check. It's important to underline that to be considered remote inspection, we have to guarantee some requirements and features that you see in the second box on the right hand of the screen. So data upload and download, any detail or information can be uploaded into the RVA platform or device at any time. All attendees must be free to manage shared content. Then we have live streaming. It doesn't have to be a recorded video shared later on, but it has to be live streaming. Then we have video and snapshot. Any attendee of the RVI must be able to take snapshots or videos autonomously. And then we move to connectivity, which is very important because video and audio rely on connections. So a valid IT system must be set up in order to avoid issues from low quality to security issues and security breaches. Basically, all parties will be able to join the live streaming of the activity. And note that RVI still involve all parties that we previously mentioned, but the focus is on immediate interaction between every stakeholder. Despite various technical committees are working on RVA white papers, procedures, and suggestions, at the moment, there is no dedicated standard that is addressing practices, technologies, or components that shall be used to complete remote video inspection, adhering to international standards. So we don't have RVI references included in the most common standards. And this, as we will see, it's a challenge for quality inspections. As said earlier, this is the main idea behind this webinar. So we have to understand what RVI is, how it can be used, and how we can prepare to adopt standards and guidelines that will be issued in the next future. In the next slides, we will see various RVI options and possibilities. We will evaluate pros and cons, and we will discuss what we take care of in terms of suggestions, common practice, and ideas to bring RVI to a daily reality. So, as a general view, we will go through drivers for digital transformation. So the RVI approach is based on a digital evolution of day-to-day activities. We can call it a digital transformation driven by the equipment availability, so shorter time to arrange quality check and tests, enable knowledge transfer, so lesson learned, trainings, increase service efficiency, so reduce time in the solution of problems, business expense savings, cost reduction, scale field expertise. That means that allowing to sum up quicker experience and feedback, and increase field safety. So this is to allow to complete tasks in hazardous or hard to reach areas. So you can consider remote operated guided robots or drones or whatever. So this is the general view about digitalization, but now let's get into the RVI methods and tools. So here's the introduction. So we will now go through the possible RVI methods on site. Each method listed in here increase the RVI level and can fit better to certain activities instead of others. We have vendor-operated device, inspector-operated headset, and RVA, which is integrating more tools. As said, RVI is not a one-size-fits-all solution. So RVI can be customized based on production needs and specific requests. And this is what we will go through in the next slides. So moving on, let's get to the vendor-operated device. The first option is the simplest form of RVI that we can find at the moment. It's based on a mobile phone or smartphone with a camera, a standard camera, so there's no particular definition or quality required. And the RVE platform, which works as a virtual area where all video and all content are shared. Usually these kind of platform grant a good compression ratio and quality level because the platform itself amplify the connection bandwidth. You can see a couple of examples in the slide in the right hand of the screen. These pictures were taken with a mobile phone in an area with low connection levels. And the important thing to underline is that it was not taken directly by the phone, but by the inspectors that was working on the remote video inspection platform. And this is the important thing. So this is a screenshot taken by the laptop that was showing what the smartphone was live streaming. So this is the main important point. So how does it work? Basically, a designated vendor's representative will handle the mobile phone as a recording device, just like standard videos, okay? And we will be guided by others during live streaming. A simple order like zoom on that point, give me an overview of the item, stop on one section, point at the control monitors or nameplates will be sufficient to effectively live stream the activities. There will be the constant contact between all parties and the possibility to interact with video and pictures taken. So even on the video taken by the operator on site, you will be able to draw lines or to interact with graphic signs and text. And this is very important because constant connection is required. On remote video inspection platform, we can also share all kinds of documents, PDF, Word, drawings, and this is increasing the chances to effectively share the information between all stakeholders, which is very important. Imagine if you are very far away and you have to discuss about drawing revision or else. You don't have to point with the mobile phone to the drawing, but you can just upload on the shared platform the document, so to have an immediate check of what you're looking at. And this is very useful, and we found it very useful during our experience. So let me remind that it is live streaming. So even if we are using a vendor-operated device, all other parties will have the possibility to record video or take snapshot of the activities. If the video is live, but pictures and videos will be provided later, this is somehow vanishing the scope of remote video inspection. Remember that to be considered remote video inspection, as we saw in the previous slide, all attendees must be free to take snapshot, copies on the videos autonomously. It is very important in this situation that all parties agree on what is mandatory during the activities. For example, the day before the evaluation and the inspection, all parties shall spend 15 minutes agreeing on how the activity will be completed, how many devices are required. One may be pointing at the item, another on the control monitors, which pictures are mandatory or else. This is very linked to the needs specified by all parties, and clarifying it before the RVI creates a shared vision over the entire activity. This kind of RVI is suggested for standard activities such as performance or routine test, hydro, and so on. So let's say that this is the simple method of remote video inspection. And of course, it also suggested for general activities and nothing that complex. Basically, where a high definition is not necessary to determine the outcome of the test. But for this reason, say that we can move to the other possibility, which is the headset. With this scenario, we are getting to a more complex environment. Today's headsets are basically computer integrated devices that allow high performance video recording and pictures taking. This means that we can live stream images of details up to 1 millimeter with a performance that is better than human eye. All video streaming are high definition 4K and are automatically stored on the device and on a sharing platform available for all participants. This kind of device is usually in the hand of an inspector, a senior inspector that can add experience to the quality check. And headset allows also to have a monitor constantly available in front of him. So you can see that in the right hand of the slide, you have the headset and the inspector will be able to see what is seeing and also all the comments that are made by the audience, which is very important. The resource on the field will be sharing details and information to all stakeholders, not guided by others. Well, also suggestions can be available, but the leading of the quality check is in the hand of the senior inspector that is adding expertise to the activity that is completed. In this situation, connectivity is very important to guarantee the smooth sharing of video. Usually a Wi-Fi hotspot is required to keep up transmission and data sharing. Connection security is granted as the device is linked to a single dedicated Wi-Fi network, and so is the sharing platform. Even in this scenario, the headset works via a sharing platform, which means that documents, pictures, video can be uploaded or downloaded on a platform or the device itself. The resource using the headset will be able to see all details directly on the device without the need to have a laptop by his side. And this is, of course, increasing the possibility to focus on the activity instead of moving on different devices. This tool is recommended for activities such as those on the production critical path, plant auditing, welding check, repairing, refurbishment, or detail and defect analysis. As soon as we get into more complex scenarios, we deploy the right tool to guarantee a valid standard in quality evaluation. So the key takeaway here are that we have a headset, a device that is used as sharing platform, and everybody has the possibility to join it. We have to focus on the complexity of the activities, which have an increased complexity compared to standard remote video inspection, and involved participants are usually also at higher levels. So we're not just talking about manufacturer representatives, but also client engineers and so on. So this depends on the specific need of the activity. Let's say that this slide brings us to the other method, which is the method that covers the most complex situation. So RVI, remote video inspection, adding more tools. What does it mean? Well, this option will talk about RVI completed upgrading the device used in the previous example. This possibility is mainly used for critical or high-value controls, for example, defect analysis, failure check, item tolerance evaluation, risk and reliability assessment, corrosion or material evaluation, mechanical integrity evaluation, and so on. We will integrate different tools during the same activity to complete the required task as a tailored solution. These tools can be selected depending on specific needs, and what we have in our hands is headset or smart glasses. We can add 3D laser scan, 3D metrology, handset scanners, augmented reality, which is very important and useful in this moment, advanced NDT, such as phase array, to identify defects or damage up to 0.004 millimeters. So the idea is to have eyes and ears on the item, while details collected via laser scan or other devices are integrated on the same platform. This is allowing an even better check of what is shown by the camera, allowing to get details that human eye won't get so easily. The resource carrying out the activity will see directly on his mobile phone, or on his Google and headset, the details reported by the scanner as an immediate feedback on the check. At the same time, you will receive instructions or requests from all other parties involved, so to increase the effectiveness of the check, which is the main objective of what we are doing. In addition to this, all information and details are recorded and tracked for future purposes and any future need. So in the slide you're seeing right here, you have a picture, a snapshot that was taken during one of these kind of check. So it was a scan of a blowout preventer in the United States. The picture was taken during the live scan of the BOP using an handheld scanner, while the technician, inspector, was watching the scan using the augmented reality viewer with an RVI enabled smart glasses camera showing the actual BOP in bottom right. So you see that in the bottom right of the screenshot taken. This was all transmitted via live streaming, and all stakeholders were involved in the check and analysis. And this is very, very important because as you will see in the next slide, to provide other details, the scan automatically gave a CAD analysis and outcome with dimensionals checks, dimensionals references, and quotes that were allowing the inspector to check all the details and specific information provided by the scanner used. And this was in front of the inspector at the same time and at the same moment. So we didn't have the need to use, for example, Calibre or else, because scanner was working on its own. This is another example covered by the same in the same situation. So it is the corrosion check of a test plate and item. So what was done was a first check of the test plate that was used as reference to scan, in this situation, part element, and to record the status of the corrosion and evaluate the possible evolution in the future. So if we're talking about refurbishment or repairings or item analysis, what we're doing is let's draw a line, let's identify the situation right now, let's store data and details for future needs, and at a specified term, let's evaluate again the situation, and we will have an immediate analysis and data references stored for immediate comparison. And this can be used by anybody, manufacturer, EPC, engineers, whoever needs to get these details. And this was very useful and, let me say, immediate, which is very important in the quality check we are completing. So this was the completion, let me say, of the theory or methods connected to the RVI. We are now moving on another section of the webinar, which is focusing on RVI, what to take care of, suggestions for a procedure. So as said, we do not have right now standards we can rely on. So we have, based on our experience, identified some hot topics we have to think about, creating some internal procedures or guidelines for future needs. Next future needs, let me say. So as you can see, it's GDPR and privacy, connectivity, data sharing, and health and safety. All the topics that we just listed are influencing each other. So it is not a top to bottom list. It is an interconnected list. So it's better to have a general view point by point. Here you have some suggestions and questions. So GDPR, first point, and privacy, how to manage video recording on site. Privacy and data control is a hot topic, and video recording or data storage must be carefully evaluated. Each manufacturer has his own policy that adhere to standard rules. So as a dedicated section shall be added for remote video inspection, it can also be a single model to be integrated in the constant form or else. Our suggestion is to dedicate a specific area of the manufacturing plant to remote video inspection. Depending on the premises, so the number of test benches, production lines, and so on, it will be necessary to identify a specific RVI area and structure. Let's structure it thinking that in there, video and audio recording would happen. So having that area specifically identified for RVI will allow anybody inside of it to understand that video and recording will take place. And this is very useful. Simple, light wood panels are sufficient to create an isolated area. Adding a few signals saying RVI area, video recording ongoing will create a shared awareness of what is happening in the area. Also, in addition to that, a quick guide to video recording is suggested too. You can specify using simple signs that RVI is allowed only in specified areas, and any other use will be unauthorized. So the idea is to limit as much as possible the possibility to move around with RVI devices in your premises or in premises that are also considering intellectual properties or else. So connectivity, this is the second, and connection, this is the second point. The question is, will it be stable? Is there any network specific needs? Well, connectivity is very important, not just for data transmission, as you can imagine, but also for sharing security, which is very, very important. It is suggested to use a dedicated connection for remote video inspection to avoid two main issues. First, band overload. Imagine to use a Wi-Fi open guest hotspot. As soon as someone log in, bandwidth is reduced, and you reduce also the possibility to correctly transmit the information to all the stakeholders, which is not that good. The second problem, which is also maybe it will be better to list it as the first one, is avoid unwanted user to log in, because we are focusing on data security. So as soon as you get into a remote video inspection connection, you can easily find the ongoing transmission. And sometimes, and at manufacturer premises, it's just an employee that accidentally got in, but you can never know. So it's very, very important to create a secure connection dedicated to remote video inspection. The next point is data sharing. Very important. Is it secure? Am I protecting my data? What about storage? So data sharing, it's a hot topic. We are talking about manufacturing plants, and this includes intellectual properties, industrial secrets, or details that you do not want to share. This is the reason why any remote video inspection needs a dedicated sharing platform. And the use of general tools like Skype, FaceTime, or Zoom, which are good maybe for their common purposes, is not considered remote inspection. The use of these kind of tools must be avoided, as they use transmission structures and connections that are not guaranteed. Okay, maybe they are guaranteed for other purposes, but not for this one. So as we're talking about industrial secrets or relevant details and intellectual property, let's have a dedicated platform with specific rules. As said, we are in a moment where sharing details is very easy and simple, but simple doesn't mean that it's safe and effective. Okay, so we have to focus a lot on that. Our suggestion is to use a dedicated platform or service provider to share and store details. For example, bringing the Intertech Experience platform must have a dedicated administrator and password policy. So the platform we are using, the service we're providing, is giving a 15 minutes update password policy. This means that passwords are personal, and if you were not invited since the beginning, a special key must be required. That key is not only personal, but changes every 15 minutes. This is, a way to increase the security of data sharing and transmission. Another point is very important is storage policy. Storage policy is very important, not only for GDPR, but usually all videos and pictures are removed from the platform as soon as the activity is complete. This is to avoid accidental sharing of details, information, or images that you do not want to share with anybody else. So storage policy, it's also important when you're talking about GDPR, and this is another way to connect all the points that we are looking at. So to repeat it, because it's very important, if we want to create a procedure or write some guidelines about RVI on manufacturer premises, we have to focus basically on these 4 points, and of course we can add something else, but GDPR and privacy, connection and connectivity, data sharing and storage, health and safety. So I took 5 minutes to explain something more about health and safety. Health and safety, my first idea is that it is not allowed to talk while you're driving on your mobile phone. So why should you be able to talk or use a mobile device while working in a dangerous, potentially dangerous area like a manufacturing plant or an hazardous area? This is not something we suggest. So our suggestion is to set up an internal procedure where remote video inspection device will be activated only in front of the vendor and manufacturer representative in the dedicated area. The operator won't have to walk around with the device, and this is to guarantee not only health and safety, but also, as we said, privacy respect. So another important evaluation of health and safety is dedicated to the hands-free policy on site. If we are not talking of headset, but mobile or other headset device, attention must be paid in the RVI area. If you have your hands busy managing and handling a mobile device, you cannot be focused as you should be on what you have in front of you. And as we said, we're talking about potentially dangerous areas. So we also suggest an health and safety dedicated training that can be considered. As per the previous point, having a list of dedicated remote video inspection personnel or area would increase the health and safety management during the remote video inspection. Okay, so to sum up this slide, GDPR and privacy, connection and connectivity, data sharing and storage, health and safety. Okay, so let me say that as a sum up of what we have seen and we have experienced, we have created here in the slide some points that we would like to discuss. We are summing up a few details that, as I said, we consider as a good point of discussion. The green area is more focused on the overall experience made not only by the inspectors on site, but also by the project coordinators. And the yellow and orange area is focused on the suggestions and potential limits that we faced. And it's based mainly on the inspector experience. So increased safety, the first point, just reducing people movement or reducing the number of people involved in a specific activity in the area, or specific health and safety policy increase safety in the RVA area. And this is very, very important. because this is allowing also the remote inspection from a remote perspective. Then we have cost management. Cost management is better and resources are better allocated, and travel or lodging is reduced. So if we do not have a lot of people traveling around or walking around the premise, cost management is getting good results, and this is very important. The other point is faster problem resolution. Usually, in our experience, as soon as a defect or a deviation or problem, any kind of problem was identified, it took hours or days to solve it, because emails, phone calls, conference calls were required. You probably have to merge people from all over the world. With this solution, with remote solution, you can easily let the people or stakeholders join a virtual room and say, okay, let's have a look at the problem, let's solve the issue. And this has increased a lot time management and problem resolution. And this was very, very useful in our experience. Then we have also faster arrangements, which is time handling and time management, which is very important. Imagine if you have short notice activity or something that you have to complete as soon as possible because of any reason, you can rely on remote activity and inspection, because remote inspection allow to be set up in a very quick way, and this is very good and very useful. We had situation where we set up the remote activity just the afternoon before the actual activity took place. We are not miracle worker, of course, but it required work and hard work, but we made it, and this was very successful and a positive feedback that we are sharing right now. Data collection. Data collection is something that is linked to what we were discussing about earlier. So it was the possibility to store information for future needs and possibilities, and this is very useful. So imagine to store 1 or 2 years or data analysis and information on your items. What's better than that? You do not have to get back to reports, written paper or else. It's everything online and digitalized, and this is very, very useful. So moving to the second area, I am basically, passing the discussion to my colleague, Mr. Damir, because he is the one who will lead the case scenario and the case studies. But as I said, the orange area is focused on the outcome based on inspectors' experiences. So physical distance. Remote inspection is based on distance, of course, but the idea is that not having the possibility to physically check some element of the item, it creates some issues or problems. Okay, so if you cannot touch the item or evaluate, for example, painting, this is something that is out of our, let me say, common way of thinking the inspection. So this was a limit that in some way must be solved. Item overview. Item overview, usually when you're on site, you have the vision of the entire situation in front of you. So you cannot just focus on one section of the item, but you have the entire item in front of you. So you can think about valves, you can think about other elements like pressure vessels and problematic maybe dimensions. So the item overview, it's very important because yes, you're looking at the same thing that the vendor is looking at or other people is looking at, but you do not have the general overview, just a specific point of view. Item and test selection. Item and test selection is very important. So you cannot just think that remote video inspection can apply to everything at any moment and any time. You need to apply the correct technology, as we said before. So using basic RVI tools, tests such as NDT, visual painting check or else, cannot be completed adhering to international standards. Then we have technology. Connections and available devices can be a limit for small vendors, sub-vendors, or other manufacturers. So this is a point that must be constantly checked to avoid delays on and technology-based limits. So, as said, this is the conclusion of my section. I hope it was satisfactory, and let me say that this gives me the possibility to pass the discussion to my colleague Damir Chapey, the technical manager for the industry division and department in Intertech, who will explain better inspector perspective and case studies and scenarios. So, Damir, it's up to you.
Good morning, everybody. Now I will explain two different study case and set live the vendor operated activity. In the first case, as said, the inspection activities were carried out by an inspector trained to use a real-world tool. The real-world tool is a tool described by my colleague the previous slide. In September 19, when the major worldwide APC has received an official claim from site because all valves of two production lot leakage at about 16% of maximum working pressure during the gas test. Intertech was involved to investigate, and the investigation was carried out by an Intertech senior inspector with the cameras with support of an external specialist. The investigation started with the gas pressure test, of which you can see the result of the video. The leakage not found in the seat seal, but in the contact areas, body flange, flange stem, etc. And so manufacturing or mechanical defect has been thought of. The specific case, in this specific case, the EPC, the contractor, manufacturer, and end user directly from their desk participate live at inspection. After gas tests, carry out a dimensional test, NDT test, mechanical test, etc. Change the slide, please, Andrea. Dimensional test was carried out with the 3D micrometric tool, and all pieces was verified and compared with the construction drawings. Mechanical test was performed in a approved metallurgical laboratory, and all activities performed was recorded and was broadcast live for all parties was waiting to attend. Let's set the defect analysis. With this tool, the evaluation of indication or defect or other non-conformity was evaluated by the inspector during the inspection. Video live was useful only for connect all involved parties, but not for defect evaluation. Vendor operated activity. This is a current scenario. Camera is managed from trained manufacturer representative, inspector from his desk with a vocal instruction asked to operator to frame the item, test bench, manometers, etc. And during the video, inspector captured the image or video. The evaluation of indication, defect, or other non-conformity occurs through the pictures and video, not directly on item. This is the principal difference between headset inspection and vendor-operated inspection. Is the physical presence of the inspector in front of the item and type and method of evaluation. Currently, without the proper specification adjustment and without a proper procedure, the limit of RVI remain. Where the experience of the inspector, the background of the inspector are necessary, for example, final inspection, evaluation of the wells, visual inspection, painting inspection, etc. The RVI has a limit that have not currently been filled. So, the RVI is applicable for the simple process and singular items. More difficult to apply this technology for skid, compressor, where the whole vision of item is necessary. To conclude my speech, currently RVI is a choice in particular situation and the possible evolution, for inspection activity. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Damir, for your intervention. So, okay, basically, let me say that we have now the possibility to evaluate question, answers, and an open discussion if needed on what we have been through in the webinar. So as Virginia told at the beginning of the presentation and webinar, we can have the questions and answer in the chat. And of course, as time is, time management is very important, as we said, there's the possibility to send and share questions and specific requests to VALVEcampus using their website or email address that we will show in a few seconds.
Anyway, I think that the presentation, even if short, was very intense and stimulating. I am looking at the question and answers, and at the moment there are 21 questions.
Good.
14 have been published already,
okay,
and 7 have to be now properly addressed. But I think that the number and the topics which are required are very, very important. And I would recommend that either Andrea or Damir pick up a certain number of questions and just give straight answers, telling everybody that they will get a detailed answer, each one of them, either directly or via the platform that VALVEcampus will provide. Okay, so either Andrea or Damir, take the floor and speak.
Yeah, okay, so I'm just looking at the questions right now, the published questions. I'm just going through that quickly. So let's start for the first one, just to break the ice, as we say. So can we have 3D remote video inspection, 2 cameras? Okay, I think that the question is based mainly on how many devices can you use on site while remote video inspection. Well, let me say that as per our experience, we can have up to 4 to 5 devices activated at the same time, which is something that allow you to handle and manage the inspection from different point of view. For example, let's talk about an electrical motor or other items that requires control panels, eyes on the items, or else using 2 or 3 devices will be necessary. So devices, technology, and checks. This is possible, no problem. I mean, we are in a good moment for technology, so 3 or more devices at the same time is possible. So let me see here. I see here that is another question, which is remote video inspection accepted by clients or representatives such as General Electric or else? Let me say that as per our experience, not sharing information about specific clients or else, clients were very positive, not just clients, let me say EPC, manufacturers, all the main stakeholders were very positive in remote video inspection. And unfortunately, let me say, due to COVID-19 situation, remote video inspection required a very fast action on the activation of this kind of solution. So the answer is yes, main stakeholders are accepting this kind of tool. You have to always consider the fact that it requires human connection, let me say. So everybody must be aligned on the specific needs and requirements of the activity you're looking for, okay? So it's not just a plug and play. It's a plug, wait a few seconds, talk about it, and play. But everything can be done in very short time. As I said, in one afternoon, you can organize a remote video inspection, which is effective and carried out in the best way possible. So Damir, of course, if you see other questions or else and you want to answer, feel free to do that. I'm just going through to have another question here. We have, what about battery consumption of the device? Streaming and videos, are those aspects affecting performance of the system? Okay, battery consumption. Battery consumption, from my experience, usually after 4 or 5 hours, you have to recharge the device you're using, if you're talking about, for example, mobile phone or else. For the activities that we've been covering, 7 hours due, there was no big deals, considering that you luckily sometimes have lunch breaks, that you can also reload and recharge your batteries, but there's no big battery consumption for mobile, because as I said, the platform and the service, the structure, the digital structure is amplifying the bandwidth and is supporting the live streaming. So it's not just removing possibilities from the mobile in a technological sense, but is adding and increasing the potential of the transmission device. Considering streaming and videos, those aspects affecting performance of the system. As I said, the connection, it's very important. So if there is a poor connection on site, there is the high risk of low quality. But this is something that must be evaluated before the activity takes place. So kind of easy, you ask for remote video inspection, no problem. We just gather together, all together, the stakeholders. We say, let's do a test, a quick test, 15 minutes. Let's see in the warehouse, in the on site or wherever, let's test the device. Is it working? Is there a cover of the Wi-Fi network? Yes, good. Let's see. Quality is fine. Okay, we can proceed. Quality is not fine. Let's work together, find a solution and bring this home. So up to now, we didn't have issues of the quality or else during the activities. And this is, I was showing the first slide, some pictures and snapshot taken in an area that was very, very, very remote area with low Wi-Fi connection. But as you probably remember, pictures were clear and a good quality. Okay, of course, as I said, it depends everything on the level of activity you're looking for. Okay, as soon as we rise and increase in complexity, we have to deploy the right tool. Okay. In addition to safety, I'm looking. Do you need to install an Intertech specific software on PC or smartphone? It's not Intertech software. Okay, the platform are registered on software houses, so you have licenses. You have to download the 90% of the time an application, an app for mobile, just to start recording and live sharing, but everything else is also web-based, so there's no specific need to only download. You can also follow one remote inspection at a time using web app. So other questions, I see there are a lot, but probably there's something. Okay. Okay. Let me know about time because I'm not considering it, and maybe it's okay. It's 1 hour and 22, right? Okay. But okay. Okay, I see a good question here. Is will the RVI headset available for use in hazardous areas, for instance, case of on-site inspections? Well, every device, as we said, we have different tools, as you saw in the presentation. Every device must be, must cover some specific standards. For example, if we're talking about, let me say, explosion risk area, okay, headset, for example, had the specific certification for to operate in this scenario. So let me answer the question in this way. Yes, there is the possibility for RVI to be used in a headset to be used in hazardous areas. Okay, as said before, it's something that you have to evaluate with all stakeholders before the activity begins, because this is part of the health and safety structure and idea. Okay, any other question? Don't know, Damir, if you saw something, you can take the hands, no problem. Okay. Okay. Is it working with Wi-Fi only? This is a good question. No, it's not just working with Wi-Fi. It's also working on mobile network and connection. So if you have a 4G technology on your mobile phone, it's sufficient and enough to get good quality of the video. Okay, so I think that we are kind of running out of time, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I would like to talk for hours about this, but maybe it's not it's not the right moment. So I think that all other questions, all other I don't know, comments or possible suggestions for future meetings are welcome. So I am sharing right now here the last slide, just to say thank you for your time and for following this webinar. Here we have our contacts and details. So you see the VALVEcampus site and email address, and you also have our website and general information email address. So we are at your disposal right now.
Well, Andrea, this is Maurizio again. I want to thank you again also for the number of answers that you already have given to different colleagues and friends all over the world. And I think that this is very, again, promising. I am sure that we will shortly organize another webinar on this subject. Maybe it will be a 2-hour webinar, because I think the topic can be enlarged, and let's plan to do that sometime in May, but we'll see how the reaction is. And I would invite everybody listening to send your comments, suggestions and ideas so that this topic can be properly treated by our friends who have done a tremendous job, and I'm sure that we will all appreciate it. One personal comment as the president of the VALVEcampus and the president of the Italian standardization body for valves, UNI U53, there was a question regarding standards. Apparently, at the moment, there are no standards yet on the RVI, but I'm sure that VALVEcampus, with a very close support and interaction with Intertech, will promote a draft standard very, very shortly. But this is something that we will come back in the next few weeks, and maybe during the next webinar or one of the next webinars on the RVI subject, we will be able to give you more details. But if you have any particular feedback on this topic as well, please share the information. So I don't know if Andrea or Damir have other points to add.
No, it's fine like this. So just to say thank you again for the opportunity to cover this webinar with you. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Again.
Thank you again, Andrea and Tamir. And I thank everybody for the proper attention to this webinar. And I'm sure that at the moment I'm counting 27 questions. Some of them have received a very proper answer, but you will all receive a formal answer by the authors of the presentation. Again, on behalf of VALVEcampus, thank you so much, everybody. And thank you particularly to Virginia that has organized this webinar and has coordinated all the activities. Thank you so much, Virginia.
Thank you.